Und ich darf Sie herzlich noch mal willkommen heißen und vielen Dank, dass Sie heute bei unserer ersten Online-Schulung dabei sind. Ich freue mich sehr, Sie zu begrüßen. Und mein Name ist Tanja Kauf und ich arbeite im AIT, Austrian Institute of Technology, im Bereich Digital Resilient Cities, im Fokus Smart Cities und Urban Development. Und gemeinsam mit meiner Kollegin Lena Neumeier werde ich Sie heute durch das Online-Training begleiten. Und ich darf auch Chris Aguilar von Serendipity vorstellen, der uns tatkräftig bei der Organisation der Online-Trainings und dem hybriden Event unterstützt hat. Und ich glaube, Chris, bist du mit uns?
Ja, ich bin hier. Kannst du mich
Per-
hören?
Ja, kann ich
Okay,
perfekt hören.
super. Vielen Dank, Tanja. Guten Nachmittag allerseits und vielen Dank, dass Sie an der ersten von 3 Online-Trainings teilnehmen. Mein Name ist Chris und ich vertrete Serendipity, ein Partner der Europäischen Kommission und DigiConnect, den Leitern dieser Trainings. Heute erwarten Sie etwas ganz Besonderes. Sie werden lernen, wie Sie das Potenzial der Digitalisierung nutzen können, um die Ziele des EU Green Deal zu erreichen, wie Sie mit Lordimas Ihre Digitalstrategie planen und wie Sie Ihre eigene Digitalisierungsroadmap entwickeln können. Ein besonderer Dank gilt dabei dem AIT, Austrian Institute of Technology, Team, zum Tanja, Lena, Kieran, Theresa, allen. Ähm, Sie sind unsere Smart Community Network Members für Österreich. Und so, ich freue mich auf heute und die nächste 2 Trainings ich glaube, 7. und 8. oder 8., 9. Und ja, freue mich auf heute. Und wenn Sie irgendeine Frage haben, wir sind hier zum Helfen. Vielen Dank.
Super, danke, Chris. Dadurch, dass wir eine relativ kleine Runde sind, würde ich alle bitten, vielleicht die Organisation, die Stadt, in der sie tätig sind, vielleicht in den Chat reinzuschreiben, damit wir einen Überblick haben, wer sie sind und wer gerade im Online-Training dabei ist. Und dann würde ich schon weiter starten. Willkommen, Stefan. Dann haben wir von der Stadt Wien, dann von der Stadtgemeinde Lienz, Landeshauptstadt Klagenfurt, Stadt Wien wieder. Und ja, dann haben wir schon alle soweit. Vielen Dank. Also wir haben da ein breites Spektrum an unterschiedlichen Städten heute im Training. Also nochmal zur Zusammenfassung. Chris hat es eh schon vorher erwähnt. Diese Schulungen sind Teil der Initiative Increasing Digitalization Awareness and Readiness of EU Communities, die von der Europäischen Kommission DG Connect ins Leben gerufen wurde. Und Ziel dieser Trainings ist es, praktische Hilfestellungen zu geben, damit Gemeinden und Städte in der gesamten EU ihren digitalen Wandel gezielt vorantreiben können. Und letzte Woche, einige waren von Ihnen auch dabei, fand unser hybrides Auftaktevent im Novum Wien statt. Und dort haben wir verschiedene Schwerpunkte beleuchtet, von der Umsetzung der digitalen Zwillinge bis hin zu Data Spaces, bis hin zu europäische und nationale Fördermöglichkeiten. Und außerdem konnten wir erste Einblicke in das Bewertungstool Leudimas geben, auf das wir heute auch noch mal detaillierter eingehen werden. Und jede unserer Trainingseinheiten ist praxisorientiert und auf die unterschiedlichen Bedürfnisse der Gemeinden und Städte zugeschnitten. Und unser Ziel ist es, ihnen konkrete Werkzeuge und das notwendige Know-how an die Hand zu geben, damit sie ihre Digitalisierungsprojekte effektiv gestalten und umsetzen können. Das heißt, heute schauen wir uns genau an, wie die Digitalisierung dazu beitragen kann, die Ziele des EU Green Deal zu erreichen, wie Sie das Lordimas-Tool in Ihre digitale Strategie einbinden können und wie Sie daraus einen maßgeschneiderten Digitalisierungsfahrplan für Ihre Gemeinde oder beziehungsweise Städte entwickeln können. Der Fokus liegt dabei ganz klar auf das volle Potenzial der Digitalisierung für nachhaltige Entwicklung zu entfalten. Und zum Einstieg hören wir auch gleich einen Beitrag von Eugenia Mansuti von Eurocities zum Thema Dekarbonisierungsziele erreichen mit den Unterstützungsangeboten der Cities Mission Plattform. Und in diesem Video erhalten wir auch einen Überblick über die Climate Neutral und Smart Cities Mission und wir erfahren, wie Städte unabhängig davon, wo sie auf ihrem Weg zur Klimaneutralität stehen, von der Net Zero Cities Initiative unterstützt werden kann. Dann schauen wir uns das Video mal gemeinsam an und schauen, wie die Digitalisierung ein wichtiges Werkzeug sein kann, um den nachhaltigen Wandel in unseren Städten voranzutreiben. Ich hoffe, ihr könnt das Video hören.
Hi everyone, my name is Eugenia Mansuti. I am Senior Policy and Projects Coordinator at Eurocities, and I'm coordinating the work with new cities joining the Cities Mission platform that is supporting the 112 mission cities becoming climate neutral by 2030. So today I'm going to give you a short presentation of the 100 climate neutral and smart cities mission, give you an understanding on how cities that are not yet part of the mission, so not part of those 112, can take part. And you're going to learn about the support that the mission platform currently managed by the Net Zero Cities project will offer to cities going forward. So I will start with a presentation of the mission, explaining who can join this new program that we are building, and then how we are planning to expand the mission platform support services with activities that will be online, focused on learning, will be between peers at the EU level and between peers at the national level. So we are on a mission. What does it mean? The European Commission has launched the mission for 100 climate neutral and smart cities by 2030 in the last mandate, with the objective to achieve 100 and in this case more, because there are also cities from associated countries not part of the European Union, so 112 climate neutral and smart European cities by 2030. And to ensure that these cities can act as experimentation and innovation hubs to help all other cities in Europe to follow suit, to be inspired by these innovative approaches and new ways of working that the selected cities are piloting. And all this work that has been launched and it is supported by the European Commission, it is managed by a project that is called Net Zero Cities, with the mission platform, which is the support structure for the work of these 112 cities, that is providing cities with world-class expertise and services that are tailored to their needs to achieve this very, very ambitious goal of climate neutrality in 2030. The way the mission cities, so the 112 mission cities are doing that, is through a series of deep transformation in the way the municipality works and in the way the municipality works with the other levels of governance and the other stakeholders in the city. So they do that with setting up a transition team that works cross-cutting between the different city departments. They have city advisors that provide them support, expertise, and really tailored guidance. They follow specific steps. It's climate transition map that I go back to in a moment, which is basically the blueprint for reaching climate neutrality. They can access city learning programs to deepen their knowledge on specific topics linked to climate neutrality, both on the governance aspects or on the innovation technology aspects. There is a portal, an online portal that is available for them to exchange with others and to access all this wealth of resources. And then the real key of all this work is the Climate City contract that you see here on the slide in this road to climate neutrality, which is the planning document of the municipality, and it lays down the actions, the resources, the timeline for achieving climate neutrality by 2030, and it's accompanied by an action plan and an investment plan. And what is very important about the Climate City contract is that it is a contract. It's not just signed by the municipality, but is also signed by the other actors that in the city contribute to this work. That includes businesses, privates, universities, academia, citizens, organized civil society, and so on. And then they can benefit from pilot projects. So this pilot city program that is financing specific projects in cities, a twinning program to put them in contact with other cities in Europe with a mutual exchange of knowledge and good practices, and a capital hub that is helping those cities to connect with the public and especially private financing based on this investment plan that they're building. But going actually beyond the 112, we said it 1 second ago, the mission is not only about delivering 100 climate neutral and smart cities by 2030. It's also about making sure that these cities can help others to follow suit by 2050. 2050 is the target year that in the European Green Deal the Commission established for reaching climate neutrality for the whole European continent. So what is very important is actually that we are able to capitalize on the tremendous transformations and the enormous work that these 112 cities are doing, and to try to make sure that other cities can learn from the approaches that are implemented. And when we talk about the mission approach, we identified 3 key elements to summarize it in a more comprehensible way. So the first key element of the mission approach is the climate transition map, which is a systemic transition pathway. For reaching climate neutrality in such a short time, it's not possible to stick to the old ways of doing things and working in silos or like sector to sector, domain by domain. So this climate transition map is something that has been developed for the 112 mission cities to really create a pathway, a road towards climate neutrality for them, with a journey that is inclusive, that is iterative, where there is lots of co-creation and testing, and where cities are allowed to also experiment. So what you see here are the 7 steps, 7 core elements of the transition, and cities can be at different steps at the same time. So this is something that is really one of the key core elements of the mission approach, and that we are opening up to other cities, to cities that are not yet part of the mission platform, to learn from. A second core element is the deep collaboration. So deep collaboration, it's about really coordinated action of multiple actors across sectors. So that includes what needs to be done within the city administration, with the setting up of a transition team, with the setting up of all the structures in the municipality to make sure that the different sectors of the administration work together in an integrated way, but also with other actors in the local ecosystem. So here in this slide, you can see local private actors, public agencies, civil society actors, city governments, of course, different also utilities of the municipality should collaborate to that, the academia and the research institutions, and having the cooperation actually with all these actors also outside of the municipality needs, as we were saying, this transition team. So this central point of coordination within the municipality to orchestrate the process. And then the third element that we identified as the key for the mission approach is the working with portfolios of actions. So really to act on systemic barriers that address simultaneously several levels of change. So here you see on this slide an example of net zero mobility. What is really important to see here is that the mission approach is really about identifying the trade-offs and co-benefits of climate action in the short and in the longer term, and integrating the portfolio of actions in a way that we are able to estimate actually the contribution of all the different sectors to the wider objective of climate neutrality, and not working in silos. And as soon as you start taking this portfolio approach, you realize that actually there are way more co-benefits and links between different actions that you would have imagined in the first time. And so this work that we are starting with cities that are not yet part of the mission, it's really open. So this work of opening up the mission approach and enabling learning from what's been developed by the 112 mission cities, it's really open to any cities wanting to learn and to embark on a journey towards climate neutrality. at any stage they are in their current journey. So it will also be open, of course, to cities that, for example, have not yet even started monitoring their greenhouse emissions. And then depending on their climate commitment, so for example, if they already have a climate neutrality target by 2050, they will have access to different levels of support. And we will get back to that in a second. And this will be done by the opening and training on tools, resources, and approaches developed by mission cities. That will include this climate transition map we were mentioning. And we will also have exclusive peer learning opportunity. So site visits, twinnings, learning courses, but also engagement at the national level with peers from the same national ecosystems. And so, yes, indeed, this will be done with a mix of online and in-person learning activities that will start with the use of the Net Zero Cities portal. So this online platform, and including online groups, study visits, twinnings, and disengagement at national and regional level. So the work we are doing to expand the mission platform support services will be made mainly of three components: online and learning, peer engagement at EU level, and peer engagement at the national level. Our starting point is really that we want the mission platform to be an accelerator of climate action for all cities wanting to becoming climate neutral in Europe. So when it comes to the online and learning, we are working with training for new cities on planning and financing tools, support pathways, inspiring examples from mission cities, and organizing workshops and courses that can also give academic credits. That's something that we are developing a bit later in the program for cities wanting to join. There will be 3 programs for engagement at between peers at the EU level, so online peer discussion groups that will then lead to study visits in person in the mission cities and twinnings between mission cities and other cities. And then at the national level, there will be organization of events in the countries where mission cities are located. So we work on a work plan, country by country, linking really the work that cities are doing with the wider climate neutrality objectives, to also create spaces for debate and training, including events that can be at the political level and also technical level, mobilizing national stakeholders such as ministries and national agencies, and working with national platforms. And there is also a dedicated help desk for cities wanting to engage in this program that is always available. So when we go to the online and learning, here I just have a few slides with some examples. One of the things that we have developed are climate neutrality support pathways. So it's a curated list of resources and tools that can be useful for cities wanting to engage in this process, that address the needs that were highlighted by cities when we started this program, and will be kept updated with new opportunities. And so these support pathways will really point cities to the right resources, given the challenges that they're experiencing in their path towards climate neutrality, using the climate transition map as a blueprint for that. Those are the topics of those support pathways, and they're already online on the Net Zero Cities portal since a couple of weeks ago. Then we have tools that have been developed to help mission cities that we are now making available, and actually providing more training on how to use them for new cities. Is the finance guidance tool that helps cities to identify finance options and support investment planning, answering to a sort of questionnaire. So if a city has a project idea, they can run it through the tool and find some hints and on where to find appropriate funding for or financing for that specific project idea. And we are organizing trainings for cities on how to use the tool. Another one is the Net Zero Planner, also a very interesting one that is already online, but we want to organize specific trainings actually for cities on how to use it. It was used already by around 50, maybe a bit less, mission cities. And it's an online cost-benefit analysis tool, which helps cities to create, improve, and track their climate action plan. It gives an analysis of the decarbonization subsectors. It helps to monetize co-benefits, especially health improvements, turning those benefits into financial gains. And something that is very interesting for cities in the moment when they will be developing their climate action plan or revising their climate action plan, is that it can help to test different scenarios and ambition levels, so providing also flexibility to plan for future challenges. Then when it comes to the peer and EU engagement, we have launched online discussion groups with mission cities that are focused on concrete challenges and domains. Cities have applied to participate in these discussion groups, but don't worry, because the first group has started, but there will be 2 others going forward in the future. And so if you're interested, you didn't miss the train. And they will be leading to study visits to mission cities, for cities that already have a climate neutrality target. And then we will have a new twinning learning program for 30 cities that will be focused on deep learning from mission cities over a longer period of time. So there will be study visits, but also really in-depth exchanges between expert and city officers in the 2 cities' administrations on specific topics and strategies. So they can be also linked to, they can be also useful actually for cities that are not part of the mission to get inspired, for example, when they will have to revise their action plan, when they will have to increase their ambition to climate neutrality compared to their current commitments, or maybe they already have a commitment that is signed by the mayor to becoming climate neutral by 2050 at the latest, which is a precondition for participating, and they want to understand how to do that in practice, so they can learn from successful approaches in mission cities in a more tailored and really one-on-one way. And then finally, the engagement at the national level. It's not surprising actually how important it is for cities and how dependent they are from the national level to be really considered in national policies, because of course the actions that are implemented at the local level inform national strategies, and the national level has a huge role in providing support and to giving the direction and the right regulatory impulse for changes to happen also at the local level. So in recognition of this crucial role of national governments in climate neutrality, we have a full range of activities that will take place at the national level, with upscaling of successful learning approaches, try to involve cities in the design and implementation of national policies, and also to support cities in creating alliances with different actors at the national level, including industry, academia, agencies, but also to connect among themselves in their national ecosystem, in their national language. And so what we are going to do will be to organize national events with the involvement of mission cities and other cities in Europe and the associated countries, creating opportunities for dedicated technical assistance, organizing awareness-raising events with national policymakers, and enabling cities to participate into existing national platforms. And there is also a European project that is called Capacities. You see here in the slide just a snapshot that is also supporting cities to go towards climate neutrality with a very strong national component. So we also have a very close collaboration with this project as part of the work that we're doing on the mission platform. To conclude, I add here my contacts if you want to get in touch about any of these opportunities. And we also have a dedicated help desk for cities at infocities@netzerocities.eu. So for cities that are not part of the mission yet, but would like to engage with us in becoming climate neutral by 2050. Thank you.
Okay, vielen Dank. Was Sie vielleicht vorher vergessen am Anfang zu erwähnen, falls Sie irgendwelche Fragen haben, können Sie diese während den Beiträgen einfach notieren, und am Ende haben wir noch einen Fragenteil für Sie vorbereitet. Oder falls Sie irgendwelche Fragen schon im Chat reinschreiben wollen, können Sie das auch machen. Dann würde ich fortfahren. Also der Vortrag von Eugenia Mazzutti hat uns hervorragende Grundlage dafür gegeben, zu verstehen, wie sich Städte an der Mission Klimaneutralität und intelligente Städte beteiligen können. Und sie hat uns auch gezeigt, wie die Net Zero Cities Initiative dabei unterstützt, den Weg in Richtung Dekarbonisierung aktiv zu gestalten. Um allerdings gezielt Maßnahmen setzen zu können, ist es entscheidend, zuerst den eigenen Standpunkt zu kennen. Wo steht Ihre Stadt, wo steht Ihre Gemeinde aktuell in der digitalen Transformation? Und ohne eine klare Bewertung ist es schwierig, konkrete Schritte zu planen oder Fortschritte verlässlich zu messen. Und genau da setzt unser nächster Input an. In einem kurzen Video über Assessing Your Digital Maturity with Lordimas, also die Bewertung ihrer digitalen Reife mit dem Tool Lordimas. Und in dem Video wird nochmal kurz erklärt, wie Sie den digitalen Entwicklungsstand Ihrer Stadt oder Region mit dem kostenlosen Online-Tool Lordimas selbst bewerten können. Und wir zeigen Ihnen auch, welche Vorteile dieses Bewertungstool bietet und wie sie Ihnen dabei hilft, Ihre digitale Strategie gezielt weiterzuentwickeln. Das Tool unterstützt Kommunalverwaltungen dabei, ihre Digitalisierung strukturierter und wirkungsvoller anzugehen. Und während des Videos lade ich Sie auch schon ein, einmal zu überlegen, wie könnte das Tool, das Lordimas-Tool, die digitale Entwicklung in Ihrer eigenen Stadt oder Gemeinde unterstützen. Und wir ermutigen Sie auch, das Tool im Anschluss selbst auszuprobieren. Es ist offen zugänglich und bietet Ihnen spannende Einblicke. Und den Link zur Lordimas Website sowie die weiteren hilfreichen Informationen stellen wir Ihnen gleich im Chat zur Verfügung. Dann würde ich mit dem Video schon mal starten. Lena, bitte.
Welcome back. Now that you've been fully briefed about what Lordimas is and what can offer your community, we would like to guide you through the use of the website. First of all, let's recap. The Lordimas Digital Maturity Assessment is designed to be an annual checkup for your municipality digital journey. Each year, you will track your progress and see how your local government and Europe as a whole are evolving over time. The insights you gain aren't just for your administration. They help shape smarter policies, unlock targeted funding, and enhance services for your citizens. National and EU-level policymakers also use this data to provide better support and resources, ensuring no municipality is left behind in the digital age. Let's take a closer look. Lordimas focus on 7 key areas that are crucial for digital maturity: governance, service design, data management, interoperability, service delivery, technology, and networking. Each area is assessed through the survey we will explore shortly. Based on your answers, a digital maturity score is generated for each topic. This helps you understand how well your municipality is doing and where improvements can be made. Here's where the power of the tool really emerges. You can view and compare results from municipalities or cities using the map and search functions, making it easy to benchmark and learn from others. The higher the number of municipalities that join, the more valuable these insights become. If you want to dive deeper, you can explore the best practices section to see real-world examples of digital success. For example, here we can see the example of Terrassa, Spain, where they developed an online tool to boost citizen participation. This is just one example of cities making a difference with digital solution. We strongly encourage you to explore the different examples you can find in the best practices and dive deeper in the case of Spain, Italy, France, and so many other EU member states that are working with their cities, municipalities, and regions to boost their digitalization. To promote your own best practice, please click on Insert Your Best Practice. You can also select Promote Your Best Practice at the bottom of the web page and complete the form by clicking Submit. A quick click of the survey and you can see that you have instructions, general information that allow you to add all the important ID information about your city and other data points. Also, to provide in detail content about your best practice example, focusing on one topic or multiple topics. and later your contact details, so Lordima's team can follow up with you and inform you when your best practice was uploaded to the best practice dashboard. The last step, of course, is to submit this form. If you are really willing to join an innovative ecosystem of cities, communities, and municipalities, we invite you to participate by clicking on the Participate tab on the upper right corner and Assess your Digital Maturity section. To begin, we advise you to download the complete offline questionnaire. By clicking in Download the offline form and verifying that you have all the inputs needed before you proceed with data inputs in the online form. No need to worry, the tool is accessible in all official European languages, so you can quickly change for your native language or preferred language to take the assessment. You can easily also consult the glossary to clarify any doubt you might have about technical terms or about, in general, what topics are covered and targeted by the assessment. If after all doing these consultation activities you are willing and ready to take the assessment, please click in the Take the Assessment button that will take you directly to the assessment. Completing the Lordima's questionnaire online takes less than 30 minutes. Before starting, please check the dashboard and here to see if your public administration has already participated in Lordima's this year to avoid duplications. You can do so by using the magnifier icon in your upper corner in the right and just add your municipality name and see if indeed your municipality has already submitted Lordima's. Following this intro page, you will land on the Lordima's survey page. The survey is organized around 7 key areas we discussed before. Each model has a set of straightforward questions that assess where your municipality stands in terms of digital governance. In the Governance module, you will access your digital municipality approach to linking digital transformation with environmental sustainability, budget allocation for digital services, and governance structure coordinating these services. In the Service Design module, you will evaluate the advance of digital service design processes, focusing on elements such as the digital by default principle, agile and interactive design approaches, user engagement, data-driven performance, monitoring, and co-creation with innovation ecosystems. In the Data Management section, you will have to access storage, collection, organization, accessibility, and exploration of your data. Following up by Interoperability module, where you will access how easily data infrastructure and services can connect across departments or public administrations, including the use of open source software, open standards, shared data modules, and much more. Following up the service delivery, you will assess the user friendliness and inclusiveness of your administration digitalized public services for all citizens, considering principles such as once only or one-stop shop. In the Technology module, you will assess your administration readiness for an adoption of advanced digital technologies, including big data, virtual augmented reality, AI, IoT, and others. Finally, the last module of your assessment is networking. The networking module you will assess the extent of your cooperative initiatives for procurement, development, and deployment, or sharing common digital infrastructure services. This questionnaire uses a simple 5-point scale from not at all to fully operational in most sections. Your answers create a clear picture of how your digital strengths and areas of growth. Make sure you reply to all questions marked with an asterisk to successfully submit your assessment. After you submit the Lordimas questionnaire, you can start exploring your data and benchmarking your city with others. To start, return to the home page and select Explore. Once inside the tool, you will see the different filters listed in the side panel. Those filters include year, country, type of region, maturity level, and city name. An explanation about this dashboard for each of 7 modules is also included at the top left corner of the tool. At the top of the interface, you will notice the horizontal bar. This bar allows you to quickly switch between the 7 different modules of Lordimas, making navigation intuitive. Each module contains key sections such as the maturity level and score of the cities you selected using the filters, the maturity level and score of each indicator within the selection module, the corresponding map, which can be used to view the details for each city in a pop-up window by clicking the city icon. For example, in here you can see Ayuntamiento de Madrid, and you can see in the pop-up all the data collected and how they score in the different maturity levels. To start benchmarking, select the benchmark. This feature allows you to compare various European cities for each of the 7 modules of the Lordimas overall. Next, choose the city you want to compare. In this case, we will compare Barcelona in Catalonia with Amsterdam in the Netherlands. As you can see, the results are instantaneous. You can completely understand the difference between the maturity scoring from the Barcelona and Amsterdam. What is really useful about this benchmarking and this dashboard is that you can also see across different indicators, such as twin transition, institution, and other KPIs. Thank you very much for taking this quick overlook and tutorial on how to use the Lordimas website.
Okay, ich hoffe, das Video hat Ihnen einen guten Überblick über das Lordimas-Tool gegeben. Und im nächsten Schritt geht es darum, diese Bewertung eben in einen konkreten Aktionsplan zu übersetzen. Und ich glaube, Chris will dazu etwas sagen.
Genau, danke, Tanja. Ja, so wie Sie im Chat gesehen haben, habe ich wichtige Links hinzugefügt auf die Seite, über die Sie auf das Lordimas Tool zugreifen können. Und am 25. Juni hatten wir in unserem Hybrid Dissemination Event das Vergnügen, Stefan Pessel von Weiz zuzuhören, als er über seine Erfahrung mit Lordimas sprach. Und es freut mich zu sehen, dass der Stefan heute wieder bei uns ist. Daher möchte ich ihn herzlich einladen, seine Erfahrung mit Lordimas mit uns zu teilen, wenn er will, wenn du möchtest, Stefan. Insbesondere für diejenigen, die an unserer letzten Veranstaltung nicht teilnehmen könnten. Und dann, wenn Sie Fragen an Stefan haben, ist jetzt der perfekte Zeitpunkt, die Fragen zu stellen. So, ich gebe das Wort an Stefan.
Ja, hallo auch von meiner Seite. Schön, dass ich da heute auch mit dabei sein darf. Ja, wir als Weiz Digitalisierungs GmbH, wir agieren im Auftrag der Stadtgemeinde Weiz, und dort haben wir das Lordimas in den letzten Wochen entsprechend durchgemacht. Kurz zusammengefasst geht es darum, dass man eben über die 3 angeführten Assessments sich dort durchklickt, wobei das von der Schwierigkeitsgrad oder vom Detailliertheitsgrad immer detaillierter wird. Das heißt, das erste Assessment ist wirklich nur eine kurze Übersicht. Beim zweiten Assessment geht es dann schon mehr in die Tiefe, und vor allem das dritte Assessment ist dann eines für die derzeitige IT-Infrastruktur, wo wir dann auch stark mit unserer IT-Abteilung in der Stadt zusammengearbeitet haben. Und ja, im Endeffekt ist der Aufwand, hält sich in Grenzen. Das heißt, für das Ganze 2 bis maximal 3 Stunden sollte man sich einplanen. Und es ist dann interessant, wenn man die einzelnen Punkte auch durchmacht. Man kommt dann auch wieder auf neue Sachen drauf, auf neue Punkte. Man überlegt dann als kleines Beispiel zum Beispiel, ja, welche Sensoren sind derzeit bei uns in der Stadt eingebaut, wo man dann einmal die ganzen Abteilungen auch durchgehen muss, um zu schauen, was ist der aktuelle Stand. Und generell für unsere Smart City Strategie, die wir jetzt auch aufbauen wollen, mit diesem Tool auch zusammen. Aber das ist ein wichtiger Input, ein wichtiger Beginn auch für uns, um hier einfach eine grobe Richtlinie zu haben, wie wir das in den nächsten Jahren dann auch umsetzen wollen. Falls es dazu Fragen gibt oder andere Anmerkungen, bitte gerne an mich stellen, auch sonst bilateral. Stehe auch gerne für Mails zur Verfügung, wenn es hier vielleicht noch ein paar Detailfragen gibt. Das heißt, ja, Chris, stehe eben gerne zur Verfügung als jemand, der das schon durchgemacht hat. Und eben wir als Schweiz, als Stadt und als Region werden da sicher weiter dabei bleiben. Und bin auch schon gespannt auf die nächsten Veranstaltungen, ob das jetzt Online-Veranstaltungen sind oder auch vielleicht bilaterale Treffen und wieder Vortreffen. Das Thema wird uns, also der Digitalisierungsfahrplan, den es jetzt einmal gibt, wird uns sicher die nächsten Jahre intensiv begleiten. Und da freuen wir uns auf Mitstreiter und auf ja, einen interessanten Austausch.
Vielen Dank, vielen Dank für deine Einblicke, Stefan. So, gibt es noch eine Frage an Stefan, vielleicht von Kommunen, die Interesse daran haben, an Lordimas teilzunehmen? Okay, und dass es keine weiteren Fragen gibt. Vielen Dank, Stefan. Und wir gehen wieder zurück mit zu Tanja, an dem zweiten Video für heute. Und der Stefan hat es ein bisschen gave the teaser, and we're going to talk a bit more about the building your digital roadmap. So, Tanja.
Ja, genau. Stefan hat es wirklich schon vorgeteasert. Wir werden jetzt über den Digitalisierungsfahrplan reden und ein Video dazu sehen. Das heißt, es ist immer gut zu wissen, wo man steht, und ein wichtiger erster Schritt ist eben, die eigenen Herausforderungen zu identifizieren und einen klaren, strukturierten, realistischen Weg nach vorne zu entwickeln. Und im nächsten Video hören wir dann einen Vortrag von Boris Schondorp von Deloitte. Er wird uns mehr über das Thema Digitalisierungsfahrplan entwickeln erzählen. Und in diesem Video zeigt er uns auch, wie Sie mit der EU-Methodik systematisch einen Digitalisierungsfahrplan erstellen können. Und er gibt uns auch praktische Tipps und Anleitungen, wie Sie die Umsetzungsstrategie entwickeln können und auf die digitale Vision und die eigenen individuellen Gegebenheiten Ihrer Stadt oder Gemeinde aufbauen können. Also ich lade Sie auch hier bei dem Video herzlich ein, über Fragen nachzudenken, wie zum Beispiel, wie könnten Sie diese Ansätze konkret in Ihrer Gemeinde anwenden oder in Ihrer Stadt? Welche Schritte wären da besonders wichtig? Und was braucht Ihre Stadt, um den Weg in die digitale Zukunft erfolgreich zu gestalten? Dann würde ich schon mit dem nächsten Video starten.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining this part of the session. If I'm correct, you should all have already been informed on local digital twins and its benefits, as well then on Lordimas, which looks at your digital maturity. During this part of the session, we will be going over how to create a digitalization roadmap, with which we mean take a look at where you currently stand, so another assessment, maturity assessment, as well as then building a roadmap on top of that. To eventually implement a digital twin. For that, there's a journey involved. During this training itself, we will be looking at the strategy assessment, the IT infrastructure assessment, and then building the digitalization roadmap on top of that. Within this journey, Lordimas also has a part to play, as that allows you to get to know your overall digital maturity, and the roadmap is followed by procurement support, which will be talked about, procurement templates, those kind of things, which will be talked about after this part of the session in the next part. Then maybe to briefly start with Lordimas, as I mentioned, it looks at your overall digital maturity, which is good to also know because in the end, everything is connected. Additionally, to make sure that what we are doing is integrated with that approach, and also to make sure that there's no double work in anything. We use a few of the questions and dimensions of Lordimas to eventually make the roadmap. So think of, you see the ones highlighted here. So you see strategy, data strategy, interoperability, and IoT devices. Once Lordimas is completed, this is followed by the strategy assessment and the IT infrastructure assessment, where the strategy assessment is more to get a view on where you currently are, where you want to go, in terms of your strategic vision, in terms of your organization, those kind of things. And the IT infrastructure assessment is divided in two parts, one looking at which systems and applications and IoT devices you currently already have, and which ones you would like to implement, as well as then taking a close look at your IT infrastructure itself. We will go into detail on each of these points right after this. So here, a closer look at the strategy assessment. Like I mentioned, it looks at your community's digital ambition and where it currently is, what is it already investing in, and it also looks at where you want to go, what you want to implement, and as well some enabling factors such as do you already have a smart city office that could lead this whole project, and strategic KPIs defined to kind of know whether it will be a success or not. There are a number of different types of questions asked here, so it's multiple choice and open questions. You see two examples already here. Which of the following resource do you share, and how extensively defined is your vision? But yeah, these are just two of the many questions in there. What we want to gain from this is an understanding of where you are and how you want to get where you need to go. But to get these valuable insights, we of course need the right participants to be involved in this part of the process. You see some names here, CEO, CTO. In the end, those don't really matter. What is important here that people that have strategic knowledge about the way that the technology will be used in the future, what kind of use cases you're interested in, so those kind of people are involved in this assessment. Here you see then in more detail the different dimensions that are part of it. So your strategic priorities, vision and objectives, whether or not you have your own platform or share it with different cities or communities, your governance and your strategic KPIs. Once the strategy assessment is done, it is followed by the IT infrastructure assessment, where I mentioned it consists of two parts, one looking at your systems and applications and one looking at your real IT infrastructure. Here you see what we kind of mean with the first part. So you see your IoT devices, they create data that is then used in your systems or applications. And then if you would go a step further, really integrate different data, integrate different use cases into a single platform, you have your local digital platform where you have a good view on all your data or all relevant data. As well then already as a way to already visualize it and to perform some analytics with it. And only if you go beyond that to advanced analytics capabilities, real visualization of your city, other simulation capabilities that you want to involve, then we're talking about a local digital twin. The other part of the assessment then is looking at your IT infrastructure itself. Here on the left, you see a reference architecture where, of course, there are many different parts involved. So what do you want to do with it? What kind of devices are being used? What are the business rationale behind things? The data that you have, security and integration. But we are mainly looking at infrastructure itself, with which we mean your compute, network, data, storage, and infrastructure security. And these are all important to make sure that you have your data, that you can analyze your data, that you have enough computing power to perform any calculations that need to be performed, that you have a network that connects everything, and that everything is secure. One thing I do want to mention is that the roadmap itself does have references to most of these parts to make sure that, of course, everything is incorporated. But in terms of the assessment, that's really looking at your IT infrastructure itself. So in total, there are 7 chapters divided over 2 sections, many different types of questions. And here again, you have some example questions, but these are really just 4 out of the many questions that are involved in this assessment. What is important here is that there do need to be slightly more technical people involved than in the first part. But the first part was mainly strategic. Here we're really looking at all these different IT components. Again, many names. What is important that people are in the room with the required knowledge on those topics. A more in-depth view of what is actually being assessed. So you have your IoT devices along with strategy and platform, and you have your systems and applications culminating into a local digital platform, and then as well as data, storage, compute network, and infrastructure security with their respective sub-capabilities. Once this assessment is completed, so the strategy, IT infrastructure assessment, as well as LORDIMAS, the results need to be analyzed and a roadmap can be made on top of that. The way that we do it is we have 5 different maturity levels, each of which has their own corresponding roadmap, and then as well as looking at answers to individual questions, looking at your maturity level for each of the different capabilities to make sure it is tailored as much as possible to the real situation of your city or community. And here you have an example. Well, you see the 5 different overall maturity levels that can be there. The definitions are not that important right now, but as you can see, it goes from absent to digital growth, each showing a higher level of maturity from a technical perspective. This is then all summarized into a slide showing both your LORDIMAS results as well as your technical maturity results, together with some key considerations that would need to be taken into account when actually going to perform the roadmap. And talking about the roadmap, that is something that after all these assessments, we can start building. The roadmap itself consists of 3 phases, being the foundation, growth, expand, and accelerate phase. And we will get into in a moment. We'll get into what each of these mean. And within each of these phases, there are different enablers and capabilities. Where enablers are a little bit more enabling the things, where the capabilities are a bit more technical. But in the end, what is important to note that there are 19 different streams, each with their own initiatives defined on them, as you can see here on the right. So each of these 19 streams has a list of initiatives to really implement whatever it is that needs to be implemented for your city or community to go to the next level. Then, like I mentioned, if we take a look at what these phases actually are and the rationale behind them, the foundation phase is there to really look at everything that is underlying the eventual digital twin. So we're talking here about IT infrastructure, so all those 5 different dimensions, about IoT devices that you have, but also about your strategy, about a reference architecture that you kind of know what you're building towards, so everything that you need to progress. And in the growth phase, it is more about bringing everything together for the first time. So bringing all your data together and already building a platform on top of that with some analytics and visualization capabilities. Now, if this is already present, then we will not start with the MVP. Instead, we will start with an additional use case or an extension of the platform, just to make sure that it is all aligned. Once this is done and there's an implementation of a local digital platform, the expand and accelerate phase can start, which is really looking at implementing a local digital twin, with whatever capabilities that are required for the use cases you have envisioned. So that's really about making sure you're ready for that, making sure everybody's involved, making sure that everything that you have done so far is still aligned with where you want to go. But we'll take a brief look at that in a moment. Because here you have your reference roadmap, with each of the 19 streams included in it. So as you can see, you have your digital strategy, but also your stakeholder experience. So you have the things that came back in the assessments, as well as additional enabling factors that are required to really make sure this is all a success. On top of that, you see here the different maturity levels and with the place that we would expect them to start. Now, this is just an indication, because in the end, you can have different maturity levels for each of the different capabilities, making it that you can't really say what the exact starting point is, but this already gives you an idea of what each of them mean, more or less. Then we can take a closer look at all the different streams involved in a roadmap, which are listed here. So you have your digital strategy, your governance, reference architecture, but also all the way going to your project management and expanding your strategy, the deployment of a digital twin. All these things were included in the roadmap, and each of them have their own list of initiatives to make sure there's a successful implementation of them. And then here's the additional list of capabilities, such as device management, compute, security. Again, all of them with their own list of initiatives. And here is a real example of a reference roadmap that we would give and that we would recommend people to develop towards. So you see each of the different streams as well as their timeline. And of course, we have here chosen for a 6-year timeline. Everything here is indicative. It is highly dependent on your current status. It's highly dependent on your procurement process, the number of people you have available, the resource you have available. But this gives an idea in terms of implementation time where you would need to work towards. Then finally, for the last slide, here we have the initiatives. So here you have the data initiative, and this is just one of the 2 slides that it would be included for this community. But each of those 90 things has their own list. So in the data initiative, you can see each of the sub-capabilities that were also tested for in the assessment, and then each with a list of initiatives under them to really define what you need to do to improve on that dimension. Additionally, you can have a calendar estimate. Also included are procurement objects, because of course for some of these we recommend procuring certain tools. So those are included. As well as in any interdependencies this initiative might have with other initiatives. That was it from my side. The next step now, if you would come to this, it would of course be the implementation of the roadmap, as well as the procurement of certain objects. This last part will then also be explained, I think, in the next part of this session, directly after when I'm done. So hopefully anything that any questions you have there can be enlightened on during that time. Other than that, I hope this has been useful to most of you, and this has clarified certain questions you may have had on how to look at where you are and how to progress towards the eventual implementation of a digital twin. If there are any questions on any of this, please feel free to reach out to me. We would be happy to assist you with any questions you may have. And other than that, I hope you have enjoyed it, and thank you all very much for listening.
Okay, vielen Dank. Und ich hoffe auch von unserer Seite, dass das ein aufschlussreiches Video war und dass es Ihnen praxisnahe Methodik vermittelt hat, um eben einen Digitalisierungsfahrplan zu entwickeln, der auf Ihre individuellen Bedürfnisse zugeschnitten ist. Wie schon im Video erwähnt, werden wir im nächsten Video auf das Thema Beschaffungs eingehen. Also wir wissen jetzt, wie wir strategisch vorgehen, und nächste Frage stellt sich dann, wie können wir die bestehenden Lücken schließen und eben sicherstellen, dass die notwendigen Beschaffungsprozesse auch effizient und korrekt eingesetzt sind. Das heißt, im nächsten Video stellt uns dann Eliana Gerardi von Intellera maßgeschneiderte Beschaffungsvorlagen vor. Diese Vorlagen orientieren sich an den EU-Richtlinien und Standards und helfen dabei auch in den nächsten Schritten in der die Umsetzung abzusichern, sei es von der Beschaffung von Dienstleistungen oder Softwares oder Infrastrukturen. Das Ziel ist es, dass wir Ihnen heute Werkzeuge an die Hand geben, mit denen Sie bestehende Lücken schließen können und Ihre Beschaffungsprozesse effizient und rechtssicher gestalten können. Das heißt, schauen wir uns das Video gemeinsam an und sehen, wie wir das aufbauen können. Und los geht's.
Hello everyone, my name is Eliana Gerardi. I am a manager at Intellera Consulting. Today I will be guiding you through this training session focused on the EU tailor-made procurement templates that we are currently preparing to make available for European communities. Before we dive into the content, let me walk you through the agenda for this session. First, we will start by discussing the objective of this session, the learnings and target audience. Then I will guide you through the methodology used to produce the procurement materials. Afterwards, I will provide further information on how and where to access the templates and guidelines. Finally, we will discuss how different actors can engage in the review process. Now that we've outlined the agenda, let's move on to the objective of today's session. The objective of this training is to learn how to understand and identify your procurement needs to implement enhanced ICT solutions. Additionally, I'll clarify how you can use the procurement materials provided as part of the support services for EU Smart Communities project for the acquisition of key technical components and the services needed to advance digital initiatives. By the end of this session, you will have a clear understanding of the procurement templates and guidelines and how to use them. This training supports and complements the previous training, building on the information provided and expanding on the procurement support. In particular, in this training, you will dive into the three key aspects of the procurement support offered. First, you will discover what the procurement support is about, including how to identify procurement needs and how to access the open procurement templates and guidelines. Then we will dive deeper into each of these documents. You will learn how to use the procurement templates that are composed by open and MIM compliant standard and technical specification documents and are downloadable and customizable for each community. Moreover, you will find out how you can benefit from the guidelines throughout your procurement process. This training is designed for users who are looking to advance their digitalization journey and explore the potential of local digital platforms and twins. The training can be particularly useful for the following roles: urban managers and planners, sustainability managers, digitalization and smart city experts, innovation managers, data managers, ICT managers, procurement officers. Let's dive into the journey a community carries out to implement an LDT and procure its different components. The process begins when communities develop their digitalization roadmap or strategy, as explained in the previous trainings. The roadmap is a strategy document crafted based on each community's level of digital maturity. Within their roadmap, communities define the specific initiatives they will carry out to build the technical capabilities to implement local digital platforms and twins. Moving forward, based on their roadmaps, communities are able not only to pinpoint initiatives to be undertaken to deploy an LDT, but they can also identify their specific procurement needs. In fact, some of the initiatives will require the acquisition of specific smart city items and services such as IoT devices, data analytics platforms, and so on. Having defined which procurement needs will be addressed, communities can now select the procurement templates that are useful for their needs among all the templates provided. Communities can therefore customize these documents and use them to launch the procurement processes. Along the way, procurement guidelines provide instructions on how to use the templates and how to address specific procurement-related issues. Let's go through each of these steps together now. In the previous training, you learned what a digitalization roadmap is and how to build it. Let's recap just a few aspects of the roadmaps, looking at this example of a standard roadmap. Communities can build digitalization roadmaps based on their digitalization level to clearly define a list of technical enablers and capabilities that need to be built to develop LDPs and LDTs. Some of these initiatives can consist of, for example, the development of a digital strategy and the deployment of an infrastructure strategy for storage, compute, and networks. For each of the listed enablers and capabilities, a set of initiatives will be defined together with an implementation timeline. Once communities develop the roadmap describing the relevant capabilities and enablers, they also determine a list of initiatives that are considered important for the implementation of LDPs and LDTs. In order to effectively deploy some of these initiatives, communities will need to procure some items such as on-premises computing or storage tools. These items represent the procurement needs that communities will seek to solve through procurement processes. To support communities in acquiring these items, we are making available specific templates for different procurement needs. As explained before, the procurement support material that we provide consists of both open, downloadable, and reusable templates, as well as procurement guidelines. Let's begin with the procurement guideline templates. These templates are composed of two different documents: the tender specifications, which are the main document, and technical specifications, which are an annex of the tender document. The procurement templates are crafted based on EU legislation and are therefore suitable for procurement above threshold. Communities are invited to customize the templates, inserting information on their national legislation, adapting the content to use the template also for procedures below threshold. In particular, the tender document mainly contains the scope and description of the procurement, general tendering information, and the evaluation and award criteria. On the other end, technical specifications cover the compliance checks and warranty, technical and functional requirements necessary for the specific procured solution, as well as minimum interoperability mechanisms, known as MIMs, which are essential for ensuring that smart city-related products or services can be integrated with existing systems and technologies. The templates are being developed in English. In the following months, the templates will be made available online to be downloaded, providing also French and German versions. The table presented contains the procurement templates that are being prepared and the items or objects that are covered by each of them. Just to give you a couple of examples, if a community needs to procure IoT devices, they can access the specific IoT devices templates. Another community might need to purchase advanced cloud computing tools or cloud automatic computing management tool and will therefore utilize and customize the cloud computing template. Now it's the time to give you an overview of the guidelines. The guidelines aim at orienting communities in the different phases of the procurement. Broadly speaking, their first objective is to guide communities on how to use the templates. In addition, communities can refer to guidelines throughout their procurement process, especially on tender development, market engagement strategies, evaluation and award, and finally, funding and financing of the needed items. The table presents the list of guidelines covering the thematic areas just described. To give you just an example, in the thematic area related to evaluation and award, you will find 3 guidelines focusing on methods for effective supplier evaluation processes and negotiation, conditionalities definition and contractualization, and means, standards, and certifications compliance. As you know, the procurement support materials are being prepared right now by our team in collaboration with many cities and communities that are providing feedback on them to ensure they are fit for them. Hereby, we invite you to get involved in this process and get in touch with us. Participating in the revision of these materials will ensure you have a say in how these documents are being prepared. You can manifest your interest by providing your contact emails accessing this QR code, and we will reach out. Thanks very much for your interest in this topic. If there are any questions on any of this, please feel free to reach out to me. We will be happy to assist you with any questions you may have. Thank you again.
Okay, damit sind wir schon am Ende unseres heutigen Trainings angekommen. Ich würde gerne nochmal zusammenfassen. Wir haben heute gemeinsam erarbeitet, wie die Digitalisierung den Fortschritt in Richtung der Ziele des EU Green Deal unterstützen kann, wie Sie mit Lordimas den digitalen Reifegrad Ihrer Gemeinde bewerten und wie Sie auf dieser Grundlage einen maßgeschneiderten Digitalisierungsfahrplan für Ihre Stadt oder Gemeinde entwickeln können. Und nun möchten wir Ihnen auch die Gelegenheit geben, Fragen zu stellen, ganz gleich, ob zu den Inhalten, die wir heute besprochen haben, oder zu dem, was Sie heute schon gelernt haben, oder auf irgendwelche spezifischen Herausforderungen, die Sie haben, können Sie alle fragen. Und jetzt ist der richtige Zeitpunkt. Niemand?
Ja.
Bitte? Charlotte, klar?
Ich hätte eine Frage zum ersten Vortrag, eine reine Verständnisfrage. Sehr zu Beginn hat sie sich verabschiedet mit, wir wollen 2050 klimaneutral sein. Aber ich dachte immer, es geht um diese 2030er, um das Jahr 2030, das klimaneutral wird. Habe ich da etwas verwechselt oder? Das sind da zwei unterschiedliche Programme.
Good question.
Chris.
Yeah, there's the difference between the 2030 goal for net zero neutrality and the 2050 goal. There are two different ones. Let me just make sure I have the right answer for you. I want to confuse you further.
No, so there are two different, also da haben sie aus zwei verschiedenen Projekten, zwei verschiedene Ziele mit unterschiedlichen Jahren gegeben.
Genau. Yes.
Und,
sorry, yes, continue.
Ja. Und die zweite Frage, die ich bei diesem Vortrag hatte, waren, da wurde ein Financial Plan vorgestellt, der eben unterstützend wirken soll, wo auch das Schlagwort Financial Gain vorkam. Aber jetzt frage ich mich ja bei öffentlichen Dienstleistungen, also bei öffentlichen Dienst, also Gemeinden, Länder etc., gibt es ja keinen Financial Gain in dem Sinn, weil die ja nicht gewinnorientiert arbeiten. Ist das dann trotzdem als Tool, das irgendwie supporten kann, Kosten zu sparen, oder geht es da wirklich nur um eine Gewinnmaximierung? Das war auch im ersten Vortrag.
In the first one, the net zero emission cities, right? The one with Eugenia Mansuti. So to answer the first part, I pulled it up. It's the difference between the 2030 target and the 2050 target. As you mentioned, they're different projects, right? You have the EU mission for 100 climate neutral cities that's hoping to reach by 2030, and then the 2050 vision is the European Union's aim for full climate neutrality as part of the EU Green Deal and the climate law. And the second question of yours regarding finance, right? You're asking about whether there is they mentioned financial gain or financial benefit. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood your question.
Okay, I'm doing it again in English. So in the first presentation, the presenter spoke about a financial plan, and in there she mentioned the financial gains, which I thought was a bit contradicting to what municipalities are actually doing. They're not like looking out for making a profit. and I was just wondering how this financial plan would support or aid municipalities. Is it because we are actually not looking to make a gain, we're actually looking to like save costs?
I'm writing down your question just to make sure I have it correctly, and it's what I think. And somebody can jump in as well if they want to answer. Yes, Kieran, go ahead. Actually, Kieran, you would know great because you work a lot within the Net Zero Cities mission, right? So,
probably I don't speak German, so just answering the last part of the question. So there are two parts. So a city with what's called a climate city.
Kieran, your mic is a bit not understandable. There's an echo. Now we cannot hear you.
You can also send them to like in the chat afterwards, after this presentation closed. That's completely fine.
Yes. Ich glaube, Kieran kann das gut in den Chat nochmal zusammenfassen, weil er arbeitet selber und ist ziemlich involviert in der Net Zero Cities Initiative.
In the meanwhile, yeah, I think Kieran's going to give us a clear answer because I know he's worked with this initiative closely. From my understanding, it's not with achieving net zero. I think they're trying to say that it's not just about cost, but also bringing returns for cities. So as you can imagine, the energy savings or lower healthcare costs, job creation. So the different elements that come with taking part of that initiative and the gains that come from it can impact positively for the finance economy of a city. So I think that's one of the things. Kieran might be typing something as well. And then there's another question. Claudia asks about how are initiatives of 100 climate neutral cities and living in EU related? It's a great question. First and foremost, the net zero cities, this mission, was one of the elements that the European Commission really wanted us to strongly address and focus on during our trainings. And within Living in EU, we have different working groups that address different topics within the cities. And actually, we're going to have our third and final training on the 9th of July that will go a little bit more in depth with these different training groups and what they talk about. So I think more than anything within the networks with Living in EU is to help cities connecting with other cities to see what are the best practices to avoid reinventing the wheel and to be able to implement them in their own place. So it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that maybe in one of the working groups, the net zero city or the 100 climate neutral cities topic would be a part of the discussion. So here we have Kieran saying that the document that sits alongside the CCC is an investment plan which earmarks potential revenues to fund the actions detailed in the CCC. Great. It's not intended as a return on investment type strategy. Okay. Good question. Charlotte, I think Charlotte. And I hope that answers your question with Kieran. Do you have any questions, Charlotte? Yes?
Just have a personal intriguing question. So I looked up the web page where you can see all the digital maturity grades of all the cities that participated. And I'm just wondering why there are so many Portuguese municipalities participating. Is there any particular reason for this?
Yes, or do you mean Lordimas? You're talking about Lordimas, right? The tool?
Yes.
Good question and very good observation. We do have a very high participation with Portuguese cities, and the reason is one of our Deloitte partners had a session in Portugal, and one of the sessions that they were going through with implementing the assessment of their cities was to go through Lordimas. So there we had a high volume of Portuguese cities taking part, which is great because then they're really going through the process and really seeing where their assessment lies. So I think Portugal and Spain are some of the highest participating countries in Lordimas so far. But hopefully maybe Austria can change this. Thank you for your question, Charlotte. And then Claudia, did I answer your question, Claudia, about living in EU?
It's okay. Mhm.
Okay,
I
perfect.
wonder,
Yeah,
I also wonder, can we use Lordimas only if we are officially a member of the network, or can we use it without this application of Vienna?
good question. I recommend, I'm going to share the contact of ESPON, my colleague Martin Gauck, and he's the best one to assess the qualifications for taking part in Lordimas and really guiding you through it. I'm going to put this in the chat right now. And Martin is one of the guys that's going through the whole back end of the Lordimas process. So also, I want to share this contact with you all because this could be, if you have any questions or if you do take part in Lordimas and you have any questions along the way, this would be a good contact to have. So I will put it in the chat right now. Okay. But we encourage you to take part in Lordimas and see where your assessment lies. Good. Any other questions while I'm putting this in the chat? Oh, okay, let me get that in there real quick. I'm getting the email.
Stefan?
Ja, vielleicht auch eine Frage, weil ich mir gerade die Karte auch durchgeschaut habe. Und da fallen einem natürlich ein paar Städte und vielleicht auch Regionen auf, die einen sehr hohen Score haben. Also die dann Richtung 92 bis hin zu 100 sind. Was natürlich in der Realität vermutlich nicht so sein wird. Gibt es hier vielleicht eine Aktualisierung oder eine Überprüfung, ob diese selbst ausgefüllten Assessments der Realität entsprechen, oder ist das wirklich nur eben die Selbsteinschätzung von den Städten?
It's a really good question. I think something that is always communicated to the people who are filling out these assessment surveys is to be as honest as possible, because you're only hurting yourself if you don't give the correct and most realistic answers, right? If otherwise you're kind of just measuring yourself against an ideal rather than a reality. What I have understood from Martin is that they are constantly sending out a report every either quarter or every half, every like 3 or 4 months. So this report really kind of gives the call, the numbers, the rates. So if they find anything kind of extreme, they tend to go look into these numbers and these contacts and get back to them. So I know Martin and his team are often in touch with the people who are filling out the forms. If there's anything that looks a bit fishy, or it's always difficult to tell because you have to really know the ecosystem as well to see if they're really giving the best answers. But at the end of the day, we recommend you don't do it to show off or to compete against others, but really to help yourself, right? So I think it's more based on the honor system more than anything. And here in the chat, I'm putting Martin's email address. So please make sure to reach out to Martin if you have any interest or any questions about Lordimas, and he'd be more than happy to assess you. Good. Do you have any other questions? No? Then from my side, while I'm here, and I'm sorry I switched to English, I think it'll go a bit faster. I wanted to thank everybody for joining today's session, especially thank you to Lena, to Tanya, to Kieran for organizing everything, for being such great Smart Community Network members. I encourage everybody to come to the next session, which will be on the 8th of July at the same time. And it's going to be really interesting. We're going to talk a bit about open data, about memes, about the EU LDD toolbox, which is another really useful tool to help you to prepare for the roadmap and for everything. The third and final session will be about funding opportunities and about the Living in EU network. So we encourage you guys to make sure to attend, and we hope to see you. Bis dann. Vielen Dank.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And I think there might be a survey QR code at the
Ja,
end, right?
bevor
Lena?
bevor alle das Meeting verlassen, wir haben am Ende noch einen QR-Code, wo Sie eventuell Ihr Feedback vielleicht mit uns teilen können. Das ist ganz wichtig, damit wir die nächsten Sessions verbessern können und weiterentwickeln können, und würde euch bitte bitten, Feedback zu hinterlassen. Und vielleicht noch kurz zu den nächsten Sessions. Wie Chris schon erwähnt hat, wird das nächste Training am 8. Juli um 3 Uhr stattfinden und das dritte und das letzte am 9. Juli ebenfalls um 3 Uhr. Und damit würde ich mich schon herzlich bedanken für Ihre Teilnahme, und wir freuen uns schon sehr auf die nächste Online-Session-Training und wünsche euch noch einen schönen Tag und Abend. Vielen Dank.
Danke.
Danke.
Dankeschön.